I'm Will. Welcome back to my channel, and please go and see Knives Out in theaters. Now, my first video on my channel was me talking about my favorite comics of 2019. And while I am a comics fan, I've loved movies even longer. Despite all the great movies we got in 2019, I feel perfectly comfortable saying that Knives Out was my favorite film of the year. Don't worry, I promise today's video will be shorter because I won't be mentioning any spoilers from the movie, because this movie is best experienced going in blind. However, I have once again prepared my notes because I am, and this is true, a good YouTuber. The first thing I'm going to mention about why I love Knives Out, without mentioning the plot, is the score. Given that I don't have to worry about copyright strikes because I have 7 subscribers, I feel perfectly comfortable playing some of the Knives Out score behind this whole video, and I'm sure you're listening to it right now. Isn't it lovely? It adds to the air of drama and sort of campy, Clue-esque mystery. I mean, Lakeith Stanfield says in it that it's basically like Harlan Thrombey lives on a giant clue board. I couldn't have put it better myself, which is why I didn't try, and the music only adds to that experience. Actually, I'm going to talk about my friend's favorite part of this movie, which I didn't fully appreciate the first time I saw it, but going back, it's phenomenal, and that's the set design. You really feel like this house is lived in, and it seems like the home of an eccentric writer with all of his strange collections and books all over the place and creaking stairs. The home is gorgeous, and the set design is flawless. I can't commend the set designer highly enough. It really is something spectacular to look at. You don't feel like you're on a set. You feel like you are in the world of the Thrombeys, and you can see why they love and cherish this home so deeply. It has immense character, and the set designer did a stellar job. I know my favorite movies don't usually win Oscars, but I genuinely think a set design Oscar may lie in this movie's future. The next thing I'll talk about, for why I love this movie, is the cinematography. Not only is the film beautiful to look at because of the set design, the cinematography is also spectacular. You have these incredible shots where characters are in shadow, where you see only silhouettes against the night sky. From the first shot of the film, when we see the grand house of the Thrombeys and the German Shepherds running at the camera, we really jump right into the scene and we see what this movie is going to be all about. And the cinematography doesn't lose steam from there. Of course, having mentioned the technical aspects of the movie, I would be remiss if I didn't mention what is probably the best part aside from the writing, and that would be the acting. I gotta stand up for this part. So, let's talk about some performances. First, Ana de Armas. This is the first movie I've seen her in, and she was phenomenal. Her character, as portrayed by her, is just so eminently likable that you can't help but root for her throughout the entire story. No matter what you learn about who did what and where or when, you always want Ana de Armas to come out on top. Next, another much talked about performance, Chris Evans. Being, of course, a big Marvel fan, I already love Chris Evans. And I think this movie very cleverly played off the fact that he played Captain America. He's such a giant asshole in this movie, but you keep wanting to find something to like about him, both because A, Chris Evans is incredibly charismatic, and B, because you have this mental image of him as Captain America, one of the biggest characters in the Marvel Universe. Rian Johnson took full advantage of that. Not to mention, his character has some of the best lines in the movie. Sure, a lot of that's down to the writing by, again, Rian Johnson, but Chris Evans just delivers them with incredible comedic timing, and I think his skill as a comedy actor is deeply underrated. One performance that I don't think gets enough mention is that of Katherine Langford as Meg. Katherine Langford's character is, of course, well contrasted by Jaden Martell's, who's this teenage alt-right troll kind of guy, and both provide a very funny, insightful social critique about our modern political discourse, especially as it takes place on Twitter. Now, it's time for the big one. The #1 most praised performance from this movie, and I couldn't agree more. Hell, I'm even dressed as him right at this very moment. And that is Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. He's this old-fashioned, pulpy, gentleman detective from a bygone era, but he's so charming. His accent, his funny lines, his goofiness. After seeing Daniel Craig in James Bond movie after James Bond movie, it's nice to see him in some more comedic roles. It's always nice to see that some of your favorite actors have a wider range, and Daniel Craig is absolutely spectacular in this movie. And honestly, if he was the only good thing in this movie, I'd still recommend you go and see it, because he adds that much to the film. Being the shill that I am, I decided to end my video in front, of course, of my Knives Out poster. I've made it clear that I'm a big Rian Johnson fan, and this film really illustrates why that shouldn't be a controversial opinion. This movie is great. The writing and direction are both phenomenal, not to mention all the technical aspects and the stellar performances put in by the all-star cast. Now, I can't stress this point enough, but please go and see Knives Out in theaters. Alright, well, thank you for watching. I'm going to take this off because I am hot, and I will see you next Tuesday.